I'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth here in the District of Columbia with former Be More News intern, Mr. Bobby Marvin. He's now the very fine publisher of HueVoices.com, H-U-E Voices.com. Mr. Marvin, how was your day in the district?
Oh, it was great. It was awesome, Donnie. I took my first visit to the White House and then sat in on a great and productive panel discussion on black men and HIV/AIDS. Met a couple of people, and what struck me the most was the solutions that was given. I'm very solution oriented. I don't like to hear about a bunch of problems. I like to get down to the nitty gritty on how we can solve problems. And I like the fact that there are solutions out there. There are organizations nationally that's working to educate youth and bring them into the fold on how HIV/AIDS are affecting our communities and how can we curtail its impact.
You also had the opportunity to meet Armstrong Williams. So you talked to the left, if you will, and you talked to the right. Let's start with the right. What's Armstrong talking about?
Well, Armstrong touched on some pretty key issues dealing with the Obama administration, on pretty much how we are represented on an international stage and what the President Obama needs to do moving forward. What I enjoyed most about Armstrong is he gave you a strong, solid, and sound point of view without the nonsense that we often, that I often, hear from right-wingers.
But he was an initial supporter, and he voted, he said, for President Barack Obama.
Yes, he's Obamacan, as they call it.
An Obamacan.
An Obamacan.
Okay, so in terms of living up the road 45 minutes and coming down here to D.C., what's your take on the district after just a few hours here, and as you look around this very glorious city, so much history here? Are you optimistic as it relates to Maryland's statewide election come the primary in September and the general election in November, where Governor O'Malley is expected to go up against former Governor Robert Ehrlich? What do you see?
Well, Donnie, I'm pretty much on the fence right now with the gubernatorial election in Maryland at this time. What I'm optimistic about is that more people getting involved, and nonprofit organizations, the community.
Well, nonprofits can't get involved. Yeah. They would lose their nonprofit status.
Yeah. But getting involved with fixing problems, not getting involved with government partnership with governments, of course, but getting involved in solving our problems that's going on in our communities. And instead of flipping the bill to government all the time, take personal responsibility. So that's what I'm optimistic about.
Okay. Let me ask you one final piece. Final question. What advice would you give to aspiring journalists out here, particularly those who are in school, in college, at Morgan State University, Coppin State University, young black journalists? What advice would you give them as it relates to the ever-changing world of media, especially in light of newspapers reducing staff, television stations reducing staff, the whole nine, and maybe even something along the lines of entrepreneurship, as you have done with Hue Voices, as we are doing with BeMoreNews.com?
Well, Donnie, first and foremost, it's not a plug. It's just the honest truth. Be More News has been the best internship, and I think is the best internship for any black journalist coming out of school. What I was able to do here, I probably wouldn't have got these experiences nowhere else. That's just the honest truth, nowhere else. Be More News is hands-on, it's practical, and it's effective. And when it comes to learning and teaching, and I say it was a great opportunity for me. Granted, I do strongly urge for stay in the books, hone your skills, learn the theory of media and journalism. However, you got to get out and hit the pavement. I tell my fellow colleagues all the time, we're not going to learn everything sitting in this classroom at a desk. We're not going to learn anything with our faces on the internet all the time. You have to get out, meet the people, hit the pavement, and make it happen.
Good deal. Thank you very much, Mr. Bobby Marvin, publisher of HueVoices.com, and to give you some kudos back, we appreciate your support over the years, and we're very proud of what you've done, not just here at Be More News, but with the Baltimore Afro, the Baltimore Times, and a number of other entities, media outlets on Morgan State University's radio station, on Radio 1, with the show you produce on 92Q. We're very proud of you, Bobby. We just ask that you pass the ball and make sure you mentor someone
always
along the way.
Always.
Keep watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.